I'm Rantasmo, and The Legend of Korra needs more gay. Drawing influences from anime and martial arts movies, Avatar: The Last Airbender and its spin-off, The Legend of Korra, take place in a fantasy world inspired by East Asian culture and mythology, where select individuals can manipulate the elements to their will. It boasts some fantastic art and animation, and a surprisingly mature storyline. And also, farts. Legend of Korra, which just recently concluded, seems to be a point of controversy for some people, especially fans of the original series. And I can understand why. The first season was a little shaky and had an annoying love triangle that no one liked. But I think that after that first season, the show really grew into its own, and that lame love triangle turned into something much more complex. I'm referring, of course, to Korrasami, one of the show's most popular ships, which refers to any romantic or platonic friendship pairing that's popular with fans but may or may not actually be canon. For example, Goth Catboy Harry and Draco. That's a ship. With Legend of Korra, however, the romantic pairing of Korra and her former rival Asami was all but confirmed in the final episode, and then definitively confirmed by creators Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, colloquially referred to as Brike. The series ended with Korra and Asami going on a vacation together, and I'm reasonably sure that that spirit portal exits onto an Olivia cruise. Before I comment too much on Korra's ending, I actually want to talk about Sherlock for a minute. Bear with me, I'm not just trying to score as many Tumblr notes as possible, I'm making a point. Back when I reviewed Sherlock, a few people brought up the term queerbaiting, and wondered why I didn't address it. Queerbaiting is teasing the possibility of queer representation without ever actually following through with it, as a way of appealing to an audience who would like to see it, without alienating the people who would have a problem with it. I'm generally not crazy about accusing media of being queerbait because it relies very heavily on author intent, which is very difficult to prove. I think that suggesting the producers of Sherlock are specifically targeting gay viewers with the possibility of a same-sex relationship, as opposed to just exploiting a homoerotic trope that cheaply but effectively reveals the characters' nigh-obsessive emotional investment in one another, as well as Watson's personal insecurities, might be giving them too much credit. But I can understand the concerns. As fun as it is to play with the idea of Sherlock and John hooking up, both as a device in the show and in fan adaptations, the creators have been pretty explicit, both in the script and in interviews, that Holmes and Watson aren't actually sexually or romantically attracted to each other. And their intent up to this point seems reasonably clear. John Locke is not canon. There's a distinction to be made between including homoerotic subtext and teasing the possibility of an honest-to-goodness queer relationship. The creators of Sherlock aren't intentionally teasing a potential plot or character development. They're using homoerotic subtext for the sake of emphasis, humor, and fan service. There are valid criticisms to be made about that I probably should have addressed more directly. But I personally don't see Sherlock doing much actual baiting at this particular point in time. With certain other shows, let's just say for the moment there's a stronger argument to be made. So then what can be said about a show like Korra, where we know for a fact the creators intended to imply a same-sex romance, but the end result was just vague enough to maintain plausible deniability? As much as I love that they went there at all, I do view this as a light form of queerbaiting, but I also don't really think that's Brike's fault. I think they went about as far with it as Nickelodeon would let them go. And the sad reality is that that's just how children's television works right now. I would like to see that change. That said, I would definitely call this a big step forward. I feel like Korra and Asami work well because, like so many romantic relationships, theirs is based on a foundation of friendship, and we see them build that friendship over the course of 4 seasons, instead of going through the motions of every other romantic subplot we've ever seen. That's exactly why Korra and Mako didn't work. Because we've seen this plot before and it's effing boring. The show ended up subverting that formula by turning Korra's romantic rival into her new love interest, and I kinda like that. Again, I'm really hoping for a kids show to someday jump headfirst into the LGBT representation swimming pool instead of just dipping a toe. But I don't think people are exaggerating when they call this groundbreaking. Maybe even ground bending?